So, John, behind the cameras, pointed me to an interesting phenomenon where if you search unbearable whiteness into any search engine, you come up with lots of amusing results. So just based on this Google search, the unbearable whiteness of coffee, La La Land, whatever that is, skiing.
La La Land was a musical from 2016 with Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, so that is pretty white, to be fair.
Musicals, white. Of skiing, of indie, of camping. I mean, these are just lots of things I like. Of hiking.
Of being in
nursing. Of running. Because yes, white people. Only known for running. Yes. I mean, if you've ever watched
Who holds all the world records again?
Have you ever watched the 400 meters? Oh, it's just all white people, isn't it? That's the problem. And the unbearable whiteness of milk.
I suppose in a purely factual sense, it is pretty white.
I mean, why can't all the milk be chocolate milk? That's the world we want to live in. It's like
a tasty world.
But yes, it has gotten a little bit ridiculous. Just to illustrate how stupid things are, the myth of whiteness in classical sculpture. So yes, sculptures made of white marble. It's a myth. It never happened, apparently. The Greek and Roman statues were often painted, but the assumptions about race and aesthetics have suppressed this truth. Now scholars are making a colour correction. And
what?
It doesn't make any sense.
That. What? Yeah, the paint's mainly just like faded away over years.
It's ridiculous.
That's all it is. What?
But on the topic of Romans, Bo has done a rather good article on our website looking at Claudius, a personal view where he reviews the life of Claudius and the views of various historians, trying to establish an accurate picture. And of course, as always, his work is excellent and well worth checking out.
We normally like to push his hit pieces, but he does do very good work like this.
Absolutely. So, to investigate some of these weird searches that you can find, the unbearable whiteness of cycling.
Isn't like China and Korea and Vietnam, aren't they full of cyclists?
Yes.
All white, every last one of them.
And the Dutch are known for cycling as well. I mean, that's like the capital of cycling right there. Although, there we go. So it says, in London, a city where a third of the population identifies as black, Asian and minority ethnic. Not even that they are, just identifies, so you never know. 86% of male cyclists and 94% of female cyclists are white. Two-thirds of all cyclists are male. This is an outrage.
So wait, are they insinuating that, I don't know, all the white people are just forcing them off the bicycles or something? What are they saying here?
Apparently, only white people can be cyclists in London.
Oh, you need to show your white license.
This is honestly a travesty. I mean, to be fair, black people are so keen to start cycling that they often steal other people's bikes in London. So I've seen
so what you're saying is officially recorded cyclists?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm not just making that up or leaning into stereotypes. Recently, there has been a lot of footage coming out from London of people stealing bikes. So it is something that happens. So if you're in London and you're cycling, be careful because someone will steal your bike. But anyway.
And just be careful in London in general, to be honest.
Yes. Another thing that's apparently been branded as unbearable whiteness is Brexit. And from our very own Novara Media, nonetheless. This was from the 7th of July 2016, so it's a little while ago.
Sorry, just in the top left corner, OMFG Sarkar. That's just what anybody speaking to her ends up just saying, oh my God, Sarkar, what are you doing?
Yes, 2 weeks on from the referendum, Ash Sarkar visits Barking, where 62% voted leave, and looks at the way class and race shaped inequality and political disenfranchisement. Right. Okay.
I
don't see what that has to do with unbearable whiteness of Brexit.
Also,
okay.
I have a feeling that probably if you were to look into the figures, the majority of people who voted Remain were probably also white anyway.
That's true, yeah.
Because we are a majority white country after all.
For the time being. So yeah, that's not it. That's not it. Sure, there's these important political things, but what about the unbearable whiteness of ballet?
They might have a point.
Well, what they say here is white supremacy is embedded in ballet's most basic foundations. And maybe I'm wrong here. I've never done ballet, obviously. Isn't dancing to music the most basic foundation of ballet? I thought that's kind of what it was all about.
And who
No, but white supremacy.
And who stereotypically are the best dancers?
I don't know.
Well, it's not white people, is it?
That's true, actually.
It's not white people. I can't dance to save my life.
That's true. So yes, looking even better to the unbearable whiteness of milk. Well,
wait, no.
this is a 29-page
Jesus Christ.
academic article. This isn't just any old news article.
Sorry, milk does a body good? Question mark. So you're just listening to Big Milk, eh? Let me tell you the truth.
You're sucking on the teat of Big Udder. That's your problem. No, it's titled "The Unbearable Whiteness of Milk: Food Oppression and the USDA."
Oh, God damn it!
The USDA's efforts to reduce high-fat milk surplus by selling it to fast food consumers imposes health costs on Americans generally, but disproportionately harm low-income African Americans and Latina/OS, Latina as O's, who live in urban centres dominated by fast food restaurants. So they're basically saying that selling milk to fast food...
Selling milk, which is good for you, is actually bad for black people.
Well, but it's high in fat, and therefore it's basically
high-fat milk is
whiteness.
The best milk. Anything else, in the words of a great libertarian who I respect immensely, anything other than high-fat milk is water pretending.
That's Parks and Rec, isn't it?
Ron Swanson.
It is indeed. So, that's not all. It's not just milk. The unbearable whiteness of Jesus. Famous white man Jesus from the Middle East.
Yeah, from Jerusalem.
Yes.
Hotbed of white supremacy, the Middle East.
Yeah, so it reads, Jesus would encounter a problem with today's ethnicity race question. Jesus was a Mediterranean Jew born in Bethlehem of Judea. Mediterranean.
Yes. I don't know
presume
how
this
white
person must be
Mediterranean people are.
I'm not sure if this person's American, but it might explain why they think the Middle East is...
I bet all... Well, apart from Navarra Medio, but... Media... apart from that, I'm sure all of these are American. Absolutely certain.
When it comes to shades of white, the Mediterranean complexion gets tossed in with white on contemporary surveys unless one chooses other. So apparently now... Jesus is now white.
Well, if Jesus were filling out a survey, what option would he have?
But the funny thing is that he just says that the nation he was born into was next to the Mediterranean. Bethlehem is like in the middle it's like right in the middle of that sort of stretch of land. It's not even near the coast. And you could use that same argument to be like, yeah, North Africa, white. It's next to the Mediterranean.
Jesus Christ.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's not meant to make sense, it's meant to confuse you.
Okay, there's another one. On the hideous whiteness of Brexit, let us be honest about our past and our present if we truly seek to dismantle white supremacy.
With a nice, accurate representation of the two sides here.
Yes.
Skinhead racist on one side and peace-loving Indian woman on the other.
Despite vociferous claims to the contrary, Brexit is really about race, but not always in the way we might expect. In the seemingly post-race era, Brexit shows us how whiteness as a power relation operates in ways to cast itself as both a victim and an innocent simultaneously. I don't think so.
No, that wasn't it. No, that wasn't it.
What wasn't the main point of contention that people wanted to have a say over the laws which govern their own country? I don't think that's really a white thing. I think that's about restoring parliamentary sovereignty over European bureaucracy.
To be fair, immigration did have a big part in it, but what you're saying if you're arguing against the immigration argument is just get colonised, bro. Don't worry about it. Just let yourselves get colonised.
There's also the fact that the EU's laws taking supremacy over British law allowed this mass immigration in the first place, right? So,
and Blair.
It gets more stupid than that. Don't you worry. The unbearable whiteness of weed. Canada's booming cannabis industry has a race problem.
What?
Because apparently too many white people are selling drugs. I never thought we'd see that.
I always knew that Bob Marley would lead me down a bad path.
So, as non-medical cannabis shifts from a criminal offence to legal commercial product, revenue from legal weed should be used to fund meaningful reparations for communities targeted for decades by racist drug laws and enforcement. However, even a surface-level analysis of the rapidly growing cannabis industry in Canada reveals a troubling trend: the profits and wealth being generated are overwhelmingly landing in the pockets of white Canadians. How dare these white Canadians make money on their products?
Evil.
How evil of them.
Wait, isn't the whole argument against weed being illegal in the first place the fact that it basically incentivizes criminality
Yes.
around it in the first place?
So this is targeting criminals. It's unfair. This is implicitly suggesting that, yes, legalizing it has been unfair because white people are now making money rather than minorities.
Those white people, those evil white people who refuse to break the law and become criminals.
It's so dumb. So yes, not only that, no thing is too small, apparently, concerning the unbearable whiteness of urban farming. Urban farming.
This is a bit of a reach. Go on.
Yes. Based on, I'm reading directly from this abstract here, based on the author's experience in urban agriculture projects and organisations in the United States, this commentary offers some basic initial and practical suggestions for how activists who are white or otherwise of relative privilege can approach food justice activism in ways that avoid reinscribing white supremacy and can more likely achieve the potential of transformative, multiracial urban agriculture movements.
I know what this is going to mean. I know what this is going to play out as. This is going to be white guys farm, black guys sat at the side, gimme that. Gimme that.
It's so dumb. It's just like, yes, we're going to talk about food, but how can we shoehorn racism into this?
I don't know.
It's just so dumb. And if we looked at the Chaz as well, as you brought up to me beforehand, yes. they had no idea what farming actually was. They just scattering some soil over some cardboard, just like, this is fine, this is how plants grow. I mean,
let's be fair, they gave urban farming an honest try, they just were really bad at it.
Yeah, you can say that again. So another one, the unbearable whiteness of being, African-American critical theory and cyberculture. So this is even more obscure again.
Wait. So just that sentence taken on its own, the unbearable whiteness of being. So if I'm alive, I'm being, therefore I'm just surrounded at all times by unbearable whiteness. Jesus Christ.
So in cyberspace, it is finally possible to completely and utterly disappear people of colour. I have long suspected that the much vaunted freedom to shed the limiting markers of race and gender on the internet is illusory, and that in fact it masks a more disturbing phenomenon, the whitenizing of cyberspace.
We've got a Monday Shakespeare just making up words on the spot.
The invisibility of people of colour on the net has allowed white-controlled and white-read publications like Wired to simply elide questions of race.
Have Wired and other publications often been known to skirt around the race questions?
I'm pretty sure they're a tech publication, aren't they?
Why is it relevant?
Yes. Tell me about this new smartphone, but I want to know about race.
Yeah. Well, how many white people will buy this new smartphone?
So dumb. But that's not all. The unbearable whiteness of storming the Capitol. Like...
Go on.
Watching the mob scene on Capitol Hill over the last several hours, I was numbed by the whiteness that blanketed the screen. As I get older and possibly wiser, I find myself increasingly thinking about whiteness and of the mind-boggling degree to which my life as a black American man has been impacted by it lately.
Possibly wiser, no. No, evidently not.
As I get older, I can't possibly think of how to be more racist.
I'm finding new and inventive ways of being racist now.
To be fair, as people get older, they do get more racist, so that might be what he's up to here.
It's the one thing that brings all the races together, really.
That's true. And one which I actually am going to hand it to them, the unbearable whiteness of skiing.
Yeah, that's true.
But the part that I've taken out of here is just funny anyway,
okay.
Even though I agree. On a clear day, skiers might see blue sky above and green trees below, or flashes of brightly clad people whizzing by, but mostly they see white.
All these white people blending in with the snow. Evil.
Even in the American West, a region noted for its racial and ethnic diversity, ski resorts have remained as white as snow. This is very melodramatic for a journal article.
It really is. They also, it's not like they have prohibitions on black people. You're allowed to go skiing if you want.
It is quite expensive, to be fair. I've never been skiing. Does that make me...
Neither have I.
I'm an honorary...
You're an oppressed brother.
Yes. Down with skiing. So, the unbearable whiteness of indie, which again
Also
is probably,
very true.
probably something that is true. In indie rock, white is the norm. While indie rock and the DIY underground historically have been proud to disassociate themselves from popular culture, there is no divorcing a predominantly white scene from systemic ideals ingrained in white Western culture. I think you probably projected that on there. The status quo creates a barrier in terms of both sanctioned participation of artists of colour and the amount of respect afforded them, all of which sets people of colour up to be forever seen as interlopers and outsiders. I don't know whether they actually know any indie music. I listen to a fair amount.
I know indie music as well, yeah.
Mostly it's dominated by people who are left-wing, and therefore you're probably more likely to find creepy fetishizations of people of colour than the opposite. It's not that they're excluding them whatsoever.
I know. And also, what do you think is more likely? That white people are excluding black people from indie music, or that black people
are excluding themselves?
Because it's not cool.
I tell you what, there's an insufferable blackness about hip-hop. I mean...
Oh, God, let's not go there.
I'm joking, obviously.
Get the channel hit.
But it's the same rhetoric, but reversed.
Oh, yeah, it absolutely is. But they're allowed to do that.
It's just people's revealed preferences. It's not that they're actively excluding it. It's just that, yes, jangly guitars apparently do not appeal to anyone other than white people, apparently. There we go. But there's also another article about this, why indie music is so unbearably white.
Should we just ask Morrissey at this point? Morrissey, why did you do it, man? Why did you do it?
I know. So this references that previous article saying, so him argues that there are so few artists of colour in indie because of overt and covert expressions of racism. She points to a petition calling for the Glastonbury Music Festival to replace Kanye West as a headliner with a rock band, which is code, so him rightly argues, for a white artist.
What?
When you're an artist of colour and you see indie fans signing petitions like that with 132,000 signatures at last count, you're going to get the message you're not welcome in indie. Well, first and foremost, Glastonbury is not an indie music festival. It's just become a pop music festival.
Yeah. I don't know why they would want to have Kanye West not there, because he seems like the sort of artist who would fit in perfectly.
Yeah, I didn't really understand it.
I imagine it's probably the kind of snooty, snobby attitude of the sorts of people who would go to Glastonbury. I don't want to see Kanye West. I need to see Vampire Weekend, you know.
I'd rather see Kanye, to be honest.
To be fair, I would actually like to see Kanye live. I bet he'd be good fun.
I bet he puts on a good show. But that's not all. The unbearable whiteness of Britpop, as if...
Yeah, I mean, it is British pop music. So...
Yeah, pop from Britain in the 90s. I mean, this is pre-mass immigration.
Shock that it's full of white people.
Yeah, it's probably because there just weren't that many minorities here. I mean, shock horror,
to be fair, sadly, I'm sure that someone like Damon Albarn would probably agree with all of this by now. Sadly,
well, that's why his music sucks.
Fallen. Yeah, it really does nowadays. Gorilla's most recent album wasn't too bad.
I preferred the older stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, everyone does.
But just to end it, I picked one of the weirdest ones: the unbearable whiteness of Australian sperm banks.
What? I suppose there is quite a bit of white going on in there, you know.
For goodness sake. For my first lecture for ABC Life, I wrote about the difficulty of finding a sperm donor of colour in Australia and the need for better racial literacy in the fertility industry.
Imagine is this just walking up to like black people in the middle of the street in Australia and just go, would you like to donate some sperm for me, please?
It's just...
This is just strange. This is really weird.
Leftists, you're such weirdos. Please stop.
Thank you for watching, and if you appreciated that segment from the podcast Lotus Eaters, you can support us and find more at lotuseaters.com. For instance, we've got a latest premium video from Carl talking about what did we learn from the Matrix Resurrections. If you'd like to follow Carl and learn more, you can follow him on Getter at Carl Benjamin. Thank you and goodbye.